Let's talk about a story that starts with some weird lights in the sky and ends with one of the most detailed and frankly bizarre close encounter reports on the books. We're heading to the mid-Ohio Valley to talk about a man named Indrid Cold. So, to really get a handle on just how strange this all gets, you first have to understand the place where everything went down. We're talking about a part of West Virginia and Ohio that's mostly known for its rolling hills and these small, quiet communities. Places like Parkersburg and Point Pleasant. It's the kind of place where life is pretty predictable. The biggest thing happening is usually the Friday night football game. Well, because for decades, something else has been going on in the skies over this valley. Something that doesn't have an easy explanation at all. All right, so let's get into the data here, because this isn't just one or two people seeing something weird. We're looking at a whole pattern of sightings, reported by dozens and dozens of different people over a lot of years. That's right, over 180. That's how many documented sightings we have from this region, just from publicly available data. Think about that. Each one of those is a little piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. And here's where it gets really interesting. When you look at all those reports, patterns start to pop out. Yeah, the descriptions vary a bit, but the most common things people see are these simple, distinct shapes. Mysterious lights, these silent, dark triangles, and glowing circles or orbs. And some of these descriptions are just, wow. A witness in Marietta says they saw something the length of a city block. In Gloucester, someone saw a massive black sphere just rise silently right out of the water. And in Mason, a silent black triangle shows up after lights were seen falling from the sky. These aren't just little blips in the distance. They are vivid, totally personal experiences. For almost all of those 180-plus sightings, that's where the story ends. A strange light, a lingering question. But on one night back in 1966, that distance between the witness and the unknown completely disappeared. And this is where we get to the heart of the story. It's all about a 50-year-old salesman named Woodrow Derenberger, who was about to have the single most unbelievable commute of his entire life. So let's just walk through this. Picture it. It's about 7:25 at night. Derenberger is driving his truck home when he sees what he thinks is just another car swerving in front of him. But it's not a car. And it doesn't just cut him off. It forces him to a dead stop, hovering there, silently, just inches off the pavement. And then a door opens, and a man gets out. I mean, can you imagine that moment? There's a strange craft blocking the interstate, and this guy just walks up to your truck. He doesn't ask if you're okay, he doesn't ask for help. He asks for your name, and then he gives you his Cold. Okay, so this is where the encounter goes from being just plain strange to something profoundly bizarre. Because the conversation that happened next wasn't a conversation in any way that you or I would understand it. This is the part that terrified Derenberger more than the vehicle itself. Cold was talking to him, but it was directly inside his mind. Derenberger could hear the words perfectly clearly, but the man's lips never moved. He just stood there, smiling. And the things Cold asked were weird too. He pointed to the lights of the city, Parkersburg, and asked what it was. Derenberger said, that's a city. And Cold replied that where he was from, they called a place like that a gathering. It just gives you this little glimpse into a completely different frame of reference. And the contrast between these two is just so striking. On one side, you've got Woodrow Derenberger, a regular guy, a salesman, totally freaked out, talking out loud. And on the other, you have this Indrid Cold character, calm, friendly, communicating telepathically. And his only job description is that he's a searcher. But what's so jarring about this whole thing is that for all the high strangeness, Indrid Cold looked, well, almost completely normal. Derenberger said he was about 6 feet tall, had this deep tan, dark hair, and was wearing this shiny, almost metallic-looking blue coat. He could have been anyone, really, if it weren't for, the hovering craft and the mind reading. And at one point, trying to calm him down, Cold sends him this message. We are like you, which is meant to be comforting, right? But somehow, it just makes the whole mystery of who or what he was even deeper. The entire conversation only lasted a few minutes, but the way it ended would pretty much define the rest of Woodrow Derenberger's life. Those were the last words he heard. And notice, it wasn't "I will see you again." It was "we," A promise, or maybe a warning, of more contact to come. Cold then got back in his vehicle, it shot straight up into the sky, and just vanished. And you can just hear in his own words how much this one event changed him. The day before, Woodrow Durenberger would have laughed this story off. But after what happened on I-77, he was forced to accept that the impossible might actually be possible. It completely shattered his whole view of the world. So, where does that leave us? We've got over 180 sightings of strange things in the skies of the Mid-Ohio Valley, and then this one, impossibly detailed account of a face-to-face meeting. So was this just a strange tale from a confused man? Or was it the one time a searcher from a gathering somewhere out there decided to pull over and say hello? That's the question that still hangs over those quiet country roads.